Get some help, Jared Vandera. You need to get some help. Get it. Are you kidding me? What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pub Sports Radio and welcome to the Draftkings MMA Picks and Predictions show for UFC Vegas 64. And yeah, this is a card, and it's a card that will be happening on Saturday. And that's about all I got to say about it. I'm really looking forward to the Grant Dawson-Mark Madsen fight. I am looking forward to the Shayilan Darrick Minner fight. But that is about it. But yeah, it should be interesting as always. Looking forward to hearing Weezy, Gordo, and Monk's thoughts on it. We'll start with you, Weezy. Weezy, looking forward to some Tamires Vidal.
Yeah, man. How could you not? You know, what I'm looking forward to is not smashing my TV with a baseball bat because I have no bets on that fight, and I'll just laugh my ass off at that one. Thank God Tamires made it to Vegas because it's the most anticipated fight on this card. So yeah, this is not great, but usually these cards that are absolute dog shit from a betting perspective, we can have some fun playing DFS with it. For instance, you can roster fighters, that you would never bet on. And there's a couple of them on this fight. Like, for instance, Miranda Maverick. You should never lay minus 650 on a women's favorite, but you could pay 9,400 for her in DraftKings. It makes perfect sense. So a lot of unbettable lines, but a lot of buyable fighters here. So let's talk about it.
Let's do it. Gordo, what is up? You looking forward to the fight card?
Yeah, and sure, it's fights. I can't complain about there being fights, but let me just say, last weekend, being at the Grand Canyon, enjoying the views, after seeing this card and my results last week, I kind of just want to jump in. Like, it's not one that was very pretty, especially just from face value, but Weezy said it best. Sometimes those deliver, and I'm hoping it does. Pretty please hoping it does, because all the work put into it better be worth it. So I'm hoping for the best. Happy back here again, and hope to make some money off it.
Yeah, I feel like whenever we shit on cards all week, that they end up being phenomenal, like best cards of the year. And when we hype up these phenomenal cards, I feel like they kind of end up disappointing. So I'm going to shit on the card all week, and I think it will deliver on Saturday for sure. Monk, how about you? Looking forward to it?
I suppose I am. Like you said, it is a card, and that is one of the best things that you can say about it. In all honesty, I do like Marina Rodriguez. I am interested in that fight. I think somebody mentioned the Madsen fight I like as well. Other than that, I mean, Jailton Almeida's off the card. This card is dead to me. And somehow he's slated to fight Shamil. Are we in Groundhog's Day, the movie? Like, what is happening here? Anyways, Chase Sherman fight week. That's all I got to say. Let's get into it.
Chase Sherman fight week. Never thought I'd hear that, but here we are. Here we are. Before we get started, if you guys can please leave a like on the video, subscribe here to Pub Sports Radio so you not miss out on all the other content throughout the week. But I say we dig right into it. And as always, we are going to start with the fight to target. And I will let you kick this one off. Monk, what is your favorite fight to target this week?
Well, it is a guy I just said his name, and that is going to be the cluster F, if you will, of Josh Parisian and Chase Sherman. Now, I like a lot of fights this week to finish inside the distance. Honestly, when you have fight cards like this, it brings the variance out, meaning anything could happen. We tend to see more finishes. So I like I think set the over under for 6.5 finishes. I kind of like the over, to be honest. And this is one of them, man. Parisian and Chase Sherman. Where's the numbers that I'm looking at here? Overall, the average, let's see, they fought 5 and 8 times since 2021 total. Average fight time is 10.5 minutes. Average points per minute combined. Highest on the card. Raw points per minute. 7.5 points a minute. Let's see. 75%. So 6 of those 8 fights, someone, either them or their opponents, have scored over 100 points. 3 of them, they scored over the optimal average, which is 109.86. That's the highest percentage on the entire card. 5 of those 8 fights have ended by finish. 2 of them in the first round, optimal. Either them or their opponents have made the optimal lineup. 5 of those 8 fights, guys. This is definitely my highest fight to target. And the salaries are fantastic. 8,000, 8,200. I mean, it's just like last week with Cater and Arnold Allen. You can pick either one of these guys in a ton of lineups, and it's not going to break your bank. You can, they're pretty much swappable, so you can get to several different variations of lineups with these guys. I don't think this one's going to decision. I think someone is going to get finished here embarrassingly because both these guys are trash, and the loser is going to look even worse than trash. So personally, I'm picking Chase Sherman because I'm an insane person, but I think somebody's going to get finished here, and I think the winner could make optimal here. Remember, Chase Sherman surprised everybody against the aforementioned Jared Vanderer. I don't even know if I should bring up his name on this show, but yeah, it looked great against him, which is not hard to do. So give me the Parisian Sherman fight to target.
Yep, I agree. Something is definitely going to happen in that fight. For me, I'm going to go with this is my favorite fight on the card. I'm going to go with Shayilan Nuerdanbieke going against Darrick Minner. It's sitting at minus 220. Fight doesn't go to decision, which is the second best inside the distance line, right behind that Parisian fight, which I do like to target as well. But yeah, I see this fight playing out one of two ways. The first way, I see Shayilan going out there, getting a ton of takedowns, a ton of control time, potentially getting a late finish. And the other way I see it playing out is Darrick Minner going out there and getting a first round submission at 7,300. I think he has a ton of upside here. If he wins, it's probably going to be the first round by sub. Shayilan's been submitted 6 times. Darrick Minner has like 25, 26 submissions on his record. So yeah, I think the winner scores very, very well here. And I'd be shocked if this fight did not find its way onto the optimal lineup. So give me this fight to target. Also like that Parisian Sherman call, no matter how terrible of a fight it is. Gordo, curious to your thoughts on your favorite fight to target.
Yeah, let me just say that is the most passion I've heard about a Sherman fight and like forever. Like, good for you, Monk. You're getting at it. But fight to target for me will be Mario Bautista versus Benito Lopez. I can make all the real estate jokes in the world you want. I will not do so. I will just say that Mario Bautista, I think, has taken a step down in competition here. I do think he's the type of guy who's been looking well, making improvements, rolling through some decent competition in Boom Keller recently like that. And he's coming off back-to-back 100-plus performances here. And I do think that although Benito Lopez is tough, he shows to go out there, balls to the wall early on. I do think that if we take in both these guys with the way they lose fights, I mean, we have seen Benito Lopez finished in the past, and where's his head at? He could be finished here again. And then Mario Bautista's been finished a few times himself. So I do think that the win condition for both guys ends up pretty well. I am going to lead more so to the side of Mario Bautista. I think he has good finish equity and good ability to put a value at 9.1K. However, I do think that the win condition for Lopez is probably going to be an early finish. Not impossible, not likely. Either way, I do want ownership on this fight.
Yeah, I was actually looking forward to some real estate jokes. So maybe Weezy can help you out with that one. Weezy, you got anything?
No, I mean, I've used them all up already at this point, but you know, I mean, I picked Bautista to be the ass shaving of the week, which was, you know, just the last joke of this guy's real estate career, because it's hard to be serious about anybody that hasn't fought in 3 years and 3 months. You know, and to come back against a guy like Bautista, who's 4-1 since the last time you've had a fight, and is finishing dudes that are really, really good. But I'm going with Minner Nuerdanbieke as well for this fight to target. It's an easy pick for me. Second best inside the distance line on the slate. Miller and Shaw are scoring 3.83 and 3.85 DraftKings points per minute, respectively. And Minner's allowing 3.32 DraftKings points per minute. So I see this fight going to the grappling almost immediately. I see a high likelihood of not only a finish, but a high volume grappling match with takedowns, control time, reversals. It's going to be a really good target to fight to target both sides of here, because Nuerdanbieke's path to victory is a lot of control time, takedowns, and staying safe against the submissions, while Minner can just go out there and snatch up a neck in 30 seconds and get you a 25-point win bonus. There's a lot of upside in this fight, and I'm going to target both sides of it.
Yep, completely agree with you there. All right, let's move on to the fight to fade. I feel like we all four might have the same answer. I'm going to kick this one off. It's going to be Tamires Vidal going against Ramona Pascual. And I mean, I guess I might have some Pascual just because I don't feel like she should be the underdog. I feel like nobody should be favored in this fight. But I mean, this is the fight to fade for me, if anything. I have nothing else to say. It's a horrible fight. I think both fighters are very not good. Tamires Vidal, supposedly she's a brown belt. Supposedly she has solid grappling. I've not seen really any of that outside of her like dropping for a heel hook. Ramona Pascual is just pitiful performances thus far in the UFC. Just really don't have anything nice to say about either of these fighters. So if I had to pick one fight to fade, it'll definitely be this one. Weezy, which way are you going for the fight to fade?
Yes, same way. I mean, how could you not? You know, it's just so bad. That way you can just like sleep in an extra half hour. You won't have to worry about your DraftKings lineups getting all fucked up here. And you know, you might see something on weigh-in day that may lead you to either fighter. You know, there could be a complete disaster on the fucking scales here. Ramona Pasquale with that ass of hers trying to cut down to 136 is going to be pretty funny. And then Vidal showing up last minute. You know, she's probably cutting weight on the plane and shit. You know, this fight is a complete shit show. You know, I was kind of surprised when I looked at the line that they weren't both lined at like plus 200. You know, that the implied probabilities for them to win the fight added up to about 60%. You know, I got to tell you, man, if there's one bet to make on Vidal Pasquale, it's probably draw, because it's almost mathematically impossible that either one of these ladies could win a fight at the UFC level. So maybe the only possible outcome is that it's just a tie.
I like that call. Plus 6,600 there. I might have to do a little sprint. I mean, that's the only outcome I can imagine. So I'm right there with you, Weezy.
Neither one of them is good enough to win.
Exactly. 100%. Neither deserves to win a fight in the UFC. I agree. Monk, how about you? What is your fight to fade?
Man, if I would have gone fourth, I would have just kept the bit going. But I think you're being a little too hard on these women fights. You know, not all women fights are terrible for DraftKings. So that said, my fight to fade is going to be Jinh Frey and Polyana Viana for sure. You can't play a Jinh Frey fight. You can't. That's it. Move on.
I agree.
Can't play it.
I have some words to say about Jinh Frey in the next segment. But Gordo, what fight are you fading for this week?
Yeah, I expected as much, and of course I agree. But you know, we're here to make content. I'll talk a bit more. I'm going to be underweight on the Rodriguez versus Magny fight. I do think that despite all the jokes about we can make about these women, I do think that if you're looking to be contrarian, someone's going to break this leg. Could be that. Of course, I choose them, but the third fight I'm fading is going to be Rodriguez Magny, just because I do think that they probably engage in a 15-minute kickboxing affair, and that's going to score pretty low. I don't have anything else really to say on it. I think that you can fade the women's fight and probably be successful that way. But if I had to pick anything else, that would probably be the one.
Yep, nothing wrong with that. But I think we are all in agreement that the Vidal fight is one of the worst fights of the year. All right, moving on to the fighter to fade. And Monk, you took the words right out of my mouth. I'm fading Jinh Frey, 7,900. It's got to be the easiest fade of the year, right behind Andrei Arlovsky last week. I mean, that was easy there. But yeah, this one's probably even easier. Jinh Frey, she throws nothing. She has no volume. She's like 37, 38. She has questionable cardio. She has no wrestling upside. She has no upside at all. No finishing upside, only like a 27% finish rate. And I think she has one knockout. That knockout came almost 10 years ago. I'm not touching Jinh Frey at 7,900. Probably the easiest fade of the year for me. Gordo, who are you fading for this week?
Yeah, kind of my logic between talking about Rodriguez and Magny last time is to allow me to talk about Vidal now and use that as my excuse as my fighter to fade. $8,500 is laughable, and you guys have covered all the points already. I don't think I'll be getting too much of Tamires Vidal, and that's about it.
Sounds good. Weezy, how about you?
Let me get into more reasons to fade Frey. I think we should call this segment the fighter to Frey, because it's just she's one of the worst DraftKings players. It's not even really a joke. Check this out. I've got some stats on it. Jinh Frey is scoring 1.93 DraftKings points per minute. So if she were to lose a decision, you could count on almost 30 points out of her. And if she were to win a decision, you could count on about 58 or 59 points. That's terrible. She waits to counter her opponents, and as a result, her fights are very low scoring. The fighters on this slate, if you add up the points that they score, the points that their opponents score, add them up, you know, sum those numbers across all their fights, and then divide it by the number of fights, you get an idea for how their fights score on the aggregate, right? Now, if you were to average all the fighters on this slate except for Jinh Frey, their fights score about 119.27 total points between both fighters. Jinh Frey's UFC fights score about 93 points. So let me repeat that. 119 is average on this slate. Jinh Frey is scoring 27 points below average, and that's both fighters in the fight. So not only is Jinh Frey doing nothing, you know, she's bringing this fight style, this waiting to counter, Very, very high takedown defense, so very low grappling in there. It's just the dynamic of her fights is just DraftKings cancer, and you just want to avoid them at all costs. Perhaps because her opponent has a 100% finish rate in her wins, you don't want to completely fade Polyana Viana. But man, Jinh Frey is just very, very, very low scoring, and she's easy to fade.
Yep, could not agree more. Monk, how about you? Which fighter are you fading?
Man, I was about to go in on Jinh Frey, but you guys did a good job there. By the way, she has her own gym. You can we could all go and pay our dues and get coached by the great Jinh Frey. I'm going to go with Ludwig Shayilan. This guy's fought 15 minutes in the UFC. He put up 0.87 points per minute against Jack Shore. Now, Jack Shore, obviously a fantastic fighter in his own regard. Hopefully he gets well soon so we can see him back in there. I'd like to see how he comes off that loss to Ricky Simone. But Shayilan allows 3.82 points a minute to Shore in that fight, gave up 87, and Shore is not a guy that finishes people. He tends to go to decision all the time. So it's not like some great feat of will or strength that Shayilan went to decision with Jack Shore. For 0.87 points a minute, though, you only have to pay $400 more than you did last time. So yeah, that's pretty terrible indeed. He's going up against Johnny Munoz Jr. $8,700 this week. Not Munoz is 1-2 in the UFC. Looked great against Jamie Simmons. Now, who would win between Ludwig Shayilan and Jamie Simmons? Now, there is where your answer lies as far as who you should be fading. I personally would pick Simmons there. So give me the big fade on Ludwig Shayilan, just so I don't have to talk about Jinh Frey anymore.
Sounds good to me. All right, we'll move on to our favorite dog, and I will let you kick it off, Gordo. Who are you liking as a dog this week?
I'm going to go with Darrick Minner. And I think at $7,300, you're getting a guy with such a high floor, such a decent path to victory that is really easy for you to get to. I mean, there's not many dogs that are jumping out of the page here. And I think that when you look at the way he's able to win fights, his experience, especially in a guy with who's going to play into his game plan, I do think he has the ability to go out there and score very, very well. First round finish, not off the table. First round submission, takedown, yada, 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 all there, control time. I do think he has a very high ceiling this week. His floor, maybe not necessarily the highest, but out of all the dogs down there, I am liking Darrick Minner the most.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm with Darrick Minner as well. I mean, the guy, I think, has a really good opportunity to win this fight and win it early and put up a really big score at only 7,300 against Shayilan, who's going out there and getting submitted by bums on the Chinese regional scene, including like an 0-1 guy went out there and tapped him out. I mean, if an 0-1 guy's tapping you out, Darrick Minner, I think is very live to do so. And I think Darrick Minner's improved, since working with James Krause. His cardio looks a little bit better. He looks a little bit smarter in there, better fight IQ nowadays, but he's super dangerous. And I think he's very, very, very live for that first round sub. So give me Darrick Minner as my favorite dog. I'm right there with you, Gordo. Monk, how about you? Who's your favorite dog for this week?
Muted.
Thank you. Sorry. When I'm talking about this fight, I should probably stay muted. But Jake Hadley at 9,200, I think, is an insane price to pay. So I automatically look to his opponent at $7,000, the second cheapest fighter on the entire card. And that's Carlos Candelario, man. I mean, he did go 15 minutes. I mean, both these guys are 0-1. By the way, I was talking to the guys before the show. The first 4 fights of the night, not one UFC contender has a record that's 500. That's over 500. They all have losing or 500 records. It's pretty pathetic. This is one of them here. So one of them's got to get a win here. And I think Candelario has a decent shot at $7K. This could be potentially great value. Most of it I'm looking at is Jake Hadley scoring 1.25 points a minute against Alan Nascimento, who has looked good in his past couple of fights. So I'm not necessarily saying, he should have won or should have lost that fight, but 1.25 points a minute is next to zero. I mean, that's barely better than the guy I just told you to fade the crap out of in Shayilan. So I'm thinking Carlos Candelario could maybe take advantage of that. Scores well over 1.1 points a minute in takedowns and control time. Meanwhile, Jake Hadley against Nascimento allowed almost 2 points a minute in those categories combined, which is an insane number, a very bad number. Hadley has shown that he can be taken down. He's shown that he can be controlled, and Carlos Candelario has shown that he can do a little bit of that as well. Both these guys' strength of schedules are not great. Jake Hadley definitely takes the cake on the strength of schedule argument with Candelario losing. But he lost against Tatsuro Taira, who has shown and will, I think, continue to show that he definitely belongs in the UFC and is a decent young prospect. But that out of the way, I like Candelario at 7K. I think the potential value is there. And like Gordo said, I don't know if I can pick the dogs this week accurately, but I think there could be several of them. And Candelario, in my opinion, definitely has a chance to beat Jake Hadley here. So give me Carlos as one of my favorite dogs this week.
All right, Weezy, what are you looking at for a favorite dog week?
I like Lemos this week. Not just the haircut either. It's she's got 5 rounds to get the job done. She's scoring 3.74 DraftKings points a minute, so she's very active, scoring a lot of points while she is in the cage. And she's got fight-ending power, so she has huge upside if she wins this fight. Amanda has the second best inside the distance prop of any underdog on the slate, and when you combine that with a 5-round fight, 3.74 DraftKings points a minute, it makes for a solid underdog option this week. I think that's the way I'm going to go.
Sounds good to me. All right, so we'll move on to our prize picks section. There are a couple spots that stuck out to me. If you guys have not already, be sure to sign up to Prize Picks using promo code PubSports. But I'm curious to see what you guys have on this one. We'll start with you, Gordo. Was there anything sticking out to you on Prize Picks?
I'm still in Vegas mode. I forgot about Prize Picks. Let me look at them, and I'll go last.
I can get back to you. I'll start this one off. I mean, this one's easy for me. Tamires Vidal under 72.5 fantasy points. I don't know in what world that even in a win. I mean, it's hard to imagine her scoring that much. I mean, her striking's horrible. She loads up one big shot that hits air every time. Her wrestling is horrible. Her defensive wrestling is horrible. Could she go out there and heel hook Ramona Pascual? I wouldn't put it past her. I mean, this is terrible fight, but I just find it hard to see Vidal scoring anywhere near 72.5 points. I don't even think she wins. So that's a pretty easy under for me. Weezy, was there anything sticking out to you on Prize Picks?
Muted. I got to say it to you this time.
Damn it. Yeah, I had completely forgotten about this segment as well, but I do like the under 12.5 minutes in the Miranda Maverick fight. I mean, I think she's going to starch Shanna Young, and they're levels apart on the ground. And once Miranda gets on top, I think it'll be just a matter of time before she gets a submission. So under 12.5 minutes fight time, I think is really good for a fight that's already placed at plus 100 for the fight doesn't go to decision.
Sounds good. And then we'll go Monk now. What do you got for Prize Picks?
Man, there's a couple here that are sticking out. Let me just make one more final click here. Yeah, I'm going to have to go with my guy once again, Chase Sherman, over 45.5 significant strikes. That's it. 45.5. I mean, I think especially after his last fight, let's see where he landed 137. He did land 0 against Romanov, but what are you going to do about that? 117 he landed against Porter, 88 against Arlovsky. I'm taking my chances here, and I'm going with Chase Sherman over 45.5 strikes landed.
Can I say something about that?
Yeah.
Chase Sherman's landing 6.51 significant strikes per minute, and Josh Parisian is absorbing 5.11. I mean, at that rate, Chase Sherman covers that in about a round and in less than a round and a half at that rate. So as long as he doesn't get him out of there early, and Parisian's pretty durable, the dude can take a beating. I love that one, Monk. That's a great one.
Nice.
Only scary thing is that it's Chase Sherman, but I like it as well. Gordo, how about you? What do you like for Prize Picks?
There are so many decent ones this week, and I've been one who's been hating on the betting lines and stuff like that, but there's some decent money to be made here. Which one am I going to choose? I'm going to take the fantasy score over for Miranda Maverick. I just think it's too low. I think she is able to finish Shanna Young here, and I do think that she has decent ability to get takedowns, control time, all that. Another one I was looking at, though, was the under in the fight time for Maria Bautista. So there's a 2-for-1 for me being a bit late on that.
Sounds good. Yeah, I mean, if Miranda Maverick does not finish Shanna Young, she should be ashamed of herself. I mean, it's a setup fight.
Her takedown line in Prize Picks is 2.
Yeah, it's unbelievable to me.
Mavericks?
Yeah,
Tamires Vidal.
Wait, what?
Yes.
I was talking about I was talking about Maverick.
Dude, Tamires Vidal is supposed to get, 1.5 takedowns. So to cover that over, you need Tamires Vidal to get 2 takedowns. I think that's hilarious.
I don't think she gets one unless like Pascual just falls over. I mean, oh my gosh.
So bad.
Wow. All right. So yeah, maybe the under on the Vidal takedowns. I mean, I don't think she has great wrestling, but you never know. All right. Let's move on from that. Again, sign up to Prize Picks using promo code PubSports. All right. Let's go to our favorite GPP play here. I'm going to kick this one off. And I actually like Polyana Viana, 8,300. The reason being is I think she has a ton of upside in a win. And like I said, there's no way I'm playing Jinh fraud at 7,900. If Viana wins this fight, I think there's a very good chance it's a finish. And that's because she has finished all of her wins, all 12 of her wins. Actually very impressive. I think her striking is coming a long way, but it's her grappling that is super dangerous. And I don't expect her to go out there, double leg Jinh Frey and take her down. But she has different ways of getting it down to the mat. She can potentially take Frey's back standing, and she's known to pull guard a lot. And that's probably why she has never won a decision. All she does is pull guard. But I like that here. I think Jinh Frey has been submitted before. She's been knocked out before. And again, I think if Viana does win, which she is expected to win according to the money line, I think there's a very good chance it is inside the distance. So I don't mind some Viana, 8,300. I think it's a pretty solid look there for the upside. Weezy, who are you liking as a GPP play this week?
Miranda Maverick. Shanna Young is just not good off her back, and that's where Miranda really does do her best work when she gets on top. So I think it's an easy win for Miranda. She's got the best inside the distance prop on the slate, so you don't mind paying up for her. And Shanna Young's allowing 4.4 DraftKings points a minute. So, I mean, at that pace, even if Miranda doesn't finish her, she scores 96 points against Shanna Young. So, smash high upside spot here for Maverick. And 9,400 isn't as bad as it could be, seeing as she's like a minus 650 favorite.
Yep, I love it. Gordo, how about you?
Yeah, we're going to talk about Josh Parisian here at $8,000. As much as it pains me, I do think that his ceiling is incredible. He's a slate-breaking potential at 8,000. And you know that this is a sloppy fight that is really risky to get to, but I mean, that's what GPP is, right? You got to go find those guys who are going to have that potential. I do think Parisian has it here, not only with him being so heavy on top, no pun intending, but his path to victory is probably to get those takedowns and ground him out of here. It's not impossible to do against Sherman, but I do think that his win condition scores very well, and that's what I want to see in DraftKings.
Shout out to FanDuel, just dropping the props. Gonna take a look at those. But Monk, how about you? What do you got?
I'm going to have to echo everybody's favorite Uncle Weezy here and go with Miranda Maverick. 9,400 is a pretty cheap price, honestly, to pay for what you're probably going to get against Shanna Young. Maverick has made optimal lineup in 2 out of her past 4 fights, scores over 3 points a minute. 106 is what she's been averaging in her 3 UFC wins, which is the second best number on the card. Meanwhile, let me look at and see what Shanna Young gives up per loss. 106 is what Shanna Young gives up per loss. So, I mean, if that's not a coincidence, I don't know what is. The salary has a win rate. 9,400 wins 81% of the time it steps in the cage and makes the optimal lineup at a 36% rate, which is the second highest on the entire card. Lastly, Maverick averages, she's won by KO. 109.6 is what she scored. She's won by submission. 110 is what she scored there. And when she won by unanimous decision, she scored 98. These are all top 5 numbers across the board. I don't think Shanna Young stands much of a chance. She lost to Miranda Maverick already once in her career. It's going to happen again on a larger stage and on a larger scale. So give me Maverick at 9,400. Like Weezy said, she could be 95, 9,600. You're getting a deal on Miranda Maverick this week, and I think she's a smash spot.
Yep, I'm right there with you. Let's move on to our cash play here. And for me, I'm going to kick this one off. I'm going to go with Mario Batista at 9,100. When we're talking, cash plays, we're talking like safety, right? Like somebody that's safe. I think Mario Batista is one of the safer picks on the card, and I think he has some upside as well. He's now a BJJ brown belt. I really love that he's kind of rounding out his game. A guy that has earned that brown belt, a guy that's working on his wrestling. He's completing takedowns at over a 60% clip. And I feel like he just has a lot of paths to victory here. I feel like he's the better striker, but I feel like he can push Benito Lopez against the cage, kind of grind him out, potentially find a submission as well. And I was taking a look at Benito Lopez's Instagram, and I'm not going to talk about the real estate stuff. We've already done that. What I am going to talk about is, I don't know if you guys can see it on the screen here, but he just posted a story, and he says, jumping into fight week and man, I just like Mar Batista a little bit more, and I will play it again for the viewers. Jumping at I can pot. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like it. So I think Mar Batista kind of runs through him here. I'm curious to see if he makes weight because he's been out for so long. But yeah, we'll have to see. But yeah, I do like Mar Batista 9,100. I think he's pretty safe to go out there and get the win there. Weezy, who are you liking for a cash play?
Yeah, it's the same thing for me, dude. It's Mario Batista. He's my pick to shave ass this week. Benito Lopez hasn't fought in 3 years and 3 months. And Batista's white hot right now. Mario's got the third best inside the distance line on the slate. If Lopez looks great after this long of a layoff, I'd be blown away. But I think the most likely result is that the realtor is going to run into a dick saw on Saturday. So I gotta have Mario Batista in my lineup at only 9,100. Dude can get subs. He's got power in his hands and kicks. And I believe that Lopez has been finishing 100% of his losses. I think it's only one loss at the UFC level, but still, he has been finished. And we've seen Batista get subs against really good grapplers. So, yeah, like Batista here quite a bit.
All right, we're on the same page there. Gordo, how about you? Who are you liking for cash?
Return of the dick saw. I love it. For cash, I'm going to go Miranda Maverick. I do think that I do think she wins this fight at a pretty high clip. On cash, she has takedown upside. She finished equity here. I think that everything that she's been improving on, she's going to be able to showcase here. Don't really know why this fight is happening, but I do think that she's able to dispose of Young quite quickly, and in doing so, has a very high floor in the process.
Sounds good. And then Monk, how about you? Who are you liking in cash?
Love those picks. I used Miranda for my GPP play, and I'm not going to give you Batista, even though that was my number one pick, because you guys did a great job. So I will go to somebody that I usually would not be confident in, Johnny Munoz Jr., but he's fighting Ludwig Sholinyan. Guys, if you didn't hear me talk about Ludwig Sholinyan, go back like 10 minutes and listen to me just smash him for like 2 minutes straight. Again, 0.87 points a minute. This is over 15 minutes. Guys, until he does something in the UFC, and Johnny Munoz hasn't done much, but he has done something. He's, like I said, smashed Jamie Simmons, which, whatever. That dude's like, he has a Greg Hardy type record, like 7-4, 7-5. But give me Munoz Jr. He should roll here over Sholinyan. I just don't. I'd be shocked. I would be almost as shocked as if Benito Lopez did anything against Batista as I would if Sholinyan wins this fight against Munoz.
All right, sounds good. All right, let us move on to our favorite value play. And Monk, we'll stick with you. Who are you liking for some value this week?
Well, I avoided talking about him earlier so I could put him at the value spot. Mark Madsen. I mean, Grant Dawson is no joke, guys. This might be one of my favorite fights on the entire card, to be honest. But Mark Madsen is no joke either. I mean, lots of people picking against this guy, against Clay Guida. Lots of people picking against him, against Vince from Hell Pichel, and for good reason. Who doesn't love Vince Pichel? But Madsen at 7,200 is crazy here. It's absolutely insane. I mean, this is going to be obviously a war of wrestling. Both guys score well over almost 1.5 points per minute in takedowns and control time combined. Neither one of them, as you would guess, gives up hardly anything as far as those go. Madsen only 50% takedown defense, but I think it's only like one of two. But he got taken out once, I think, by Pichel actually. And then Grant Dawson, 33% takedown defense. Now, I'm sure Grant Dawson has a better jiu-jitsu background than Mark the Olympian Madsen. That is what the O stands for in Marco Madsen, by the way. His parents knew somehow that he would be an Olympian. So I don't make the rules, guys. It's Mark Olympian Madsen, and that's who I'm going with for my value pick. 3.51 points a minute, and this is over like almost 50 minutes inside the cage. 85 when he wins, but guys, that's usually a bad number. But at 7,200, we're talking about possible optimal rate at that point. That's well over 11x, almost 12x the score at that low price. So because of his extremely low price and low salary this week, I'm going with Mark Madsen as far as value play. If he wins, he's got a great shot with all the wrestling and control time that he's going to have on his way to that win to making the optimal lineup.
Yeah, I agree. I went with the exact same thing. Mark Madsen, 7,200. I mean, the price for me, at least, it just seems really off. Grant Dawson is coming in here on short notice, and I know Mark Madsen's 38 years old, but he's looking like the best he's ever had in terms of MMA, training at Fight Ready. Like, the striking looks so much improved. The cardio looks so much improved. And I think it could be a close fight, especially if Madsen's able to use that wrestling to keep this fight on the feet. I think on the feet, Mark Madsen's striking is not the best. He's not the best striker in the world, but I still give him the striking advantage here. What I do give Dawson absolutely is the grappling advantage, and that's my only concern if this fight does hit the mat. Dawson's no joke on the mat, and he probably subs Mark Madsen, but I think Madsen can, stuff the takedowns, keep it on the feet, maybe mix in a takedown of his own. And yeah, I think I see this as a really close fight. So far at 7,200 for Mark Madsen, I do have some interest there. Gordo, how about you? Who are you liking for some value this week?
I guess that kind of takes the whole value out of it, but I agree. I had the exact same play here written down. I think at 7.2K, he stands out clearly among everybody else as value to me, because I do think that the fight's a lot closer than this line does entail. I mean, everything that Dawson does is going to be probably outweighed by Madsen. I think Madsen's a stronger guy. I think he's more physical. He's got a good takedown defense. I think he's the better striker, and everything we've seen from him has been improving on a daily basis. So if Dawson was some insane cardio machine for 3 rounds and wouldn't stop, maybe you could give that to him. But I do think that this fight's going to be close. And at $7,200, he stands out as value.
3 in a row. There we go. Weezy, how about you? Who are you liking for some value?
Darrick Minner, absolutely.
Oh, he got it.
Yeah. First round sub is the man's win condition. He can get it in less than a minute. And Shah has been finished in 8 of 10 pro losses, and he's been subbed 6 times in his career. So the wrestler is going to find himself in several deep submission attempts early in this fight. And if Darrick finds one at 7,300, that dude is going to be optimal. And let's not forget, Shayilan has no striking at all. He really doesn't have any choice but to grapple. I mean, if I were him, I'd rather grapple and lose than show my striking for 15 minutes, because I'll probably be asked to leave the UFC if I were to do that. So, yeah, I'm going with Darrick Minner here. I've got a half-unit bet on him to win at plus 800 by first-round submission here. I'm looking to break the bank on that one.
Why not put a full unit on it? Just go for 8 units.
We're going to see where FanDuel opens it. And if they open it at plus 1,000, I might have to say, all right, well, we're going to have to average it out to plus 900 then.
That's awesome. Oh, yeah, we'll see what FanDuel gets it out at. But yeah, that's a good one for sure, Weezy. All right, we'll move on to our favorite dart throw. And I will kick this one off. I'm not happy about it. I'm not excited about it, but I feel like this fight is so important at these price tags. Chase Sherman, 8,200. Josh Parisian, 8,000. This is one of the lowest level heavyweight fights you'll ever see, but I feel like it's important. I feel like there's a good chance somebody does get finished. The odds are heavily indicating that. I think I saw like minus 260 fight doesn't go to decision, which I don't really agree with, but this is a fight I feel like can go either way. I'm going to probably split my exposure very evenly. I think on the feet, I favor Sherman, but if Parisian gets a takedown or if Sherman falls down, kind of like he did against Jake Collier, I think he's in big trouble there. Josh Parisian, very heavy on top, very good ground and pound. Flip a coin on this one for me. I went with Josh Parisian as far as like a dart throw, but this whole fight is like a dart throw for me. I think it's very important. I'm going to be very heavily exposed to it, way over the field to it as well. Although I'm not excited to watch it, but I just think it scores well. Gordo, who is your favorite dart throw for this week?
Yeah, dart throw. I'm going to go with Bino Lopez. And for me, it's just purely based on ownership. Once again, it's been a theme for me on the show is to pick someone who I think is going to have low ownership but high upside. I do think that Bino Lopez has the ability has his win condition rooted in a finish, which is not impossible, not very likely, but not impossible. So I do think that if he does win this fight, it's going to be optimal at 7.1K. But it's a dart throw, not one I'm going to have a ton of ownership on, but I do think that his win condition is a finisher.
What I will say is what he does have going for him, and he's not have that terrible like blonde, black like hairstyle anymore. It looks like he's just gone with the full black hair. So that is a improvement that he has made over the last couple of years. Weezy, how about you? Who are you liking as a dart throw?
Yeah, well, you don't sell many houses in Southern California with shitty haircuts like that. So, I think it might have been forced upon him. My favorite dart throw, hot take, you guys, hot take.
Sure.
Going with one Ludwig Shalinian here, okay?
Oh, sure.
The hot take is that I don't think Johnny Munoz is any good. I think that this guy could potentially be a gigantic fraud. I really do. If Ludwig stops his takedowns, this guy can grapple. He's in there with these Eastern Bloc guys. He's wrestling against those guys. Guy's got a really, really good wrestling background. And Munoz really isn't very good anywhere but trying to get submissions. if Ludwig does pull this one out, nobody's going to own him. This guy is probably the lowest owned fighter on the card. And he could be super valuable if he pulls this off. And let's not forget that Munoz lost a decision against Nate Maness after winning 582 out of the 900 seconds in control time because he doesn't have anything else. He's got to try to hug you and get subs. And if you're a good enough grappler to be able to avoid that, let's go just for shits and giggles here. Let's see if I have it up because I want to read off the wins for Johnny Munoz Jr. I'm not entirely sure how this guy got in the UFC. His last win before he got into the UFC was against a 125-pounder that took the fight on 24 hours notice. His wins are against that guy, Renson Atgantulga, Ian King in King of the Cage, 5-3, Uriel Dominguez, 8-4, King of the Cage, Anthony Zender, 7-11, Zane Douglas, 2-4, Musa Tolliver, 9-10, Gore Manatskanian, 2-2, a 2-1 guy in King of the Cage, and a 1-0 guy. This guy's had handpicked opponents. He's never beaten anybody. Jamie Simmons is by a mile his best win, and Jamie Simmons is fucking terrible. So at the UFC level, he's a good fighter. He's just not UFC level at all. If Munoz turns out to be a fraud, like I think he might be, Shayilan could be a decent dart throw this week.
Sounds good. Sounds good. We'll see what happens there. Gordo, you already went. I think Monk's turn. Who do you got for a dart throw?
What was that last guy's name again that he fought? I got to hear it again.
The first guy that was Renson Atgantulga, but then there was another one, Gore Manatsakananian.
That's the one.
Mnatsakanian. 439 of round 2 knockout.
Mad Saknian.
Manatsakananian. Oh, God. Wow. Harry Carey would have had a thrombo trying to pronounce that shit.
He would have just quit. That's it right there.
Stoney, I am too old for this shit. That's what he would have said. And he would have started drinking again.
Right. I'm going to go with somebody that we've just been shitting on this entire night, and that's going to be Ramona Pascual. I mean, her ownership is going to be next to zero. She's the underdog here, even though she has the UFC, UFC experience, 30 minutes of it, going against some lady. She's going against some lady. We don't know anything about her. She hasn't fought in the UFC. Some lady. She's 6-1. This lady. Pascual's 6-4. I mean, they both suck, but I'm giving the edge to Pascual. Say she finishes this some lady, then she's gonna probably be optimal if she gets 90 points or so at 7,700. I mean, it's not going to be a pretty Sunday when you wake up and look at the results and see Ramona Pascual beat some lady to make the optimal lineup. But I mean, as far as a dart throw, I'll take Pascual over some lady.
Sounds good. Pascual over some lady. Yeah, what a fight. So what we're going to do now is we're going to check our scores from last week. If anybody in the chat has any questions, shout them out, and then we'll get to those in a second. But we're going to go over the scores from last week, and it was not good. They weren't too good. Gordo was in 4th place with Christian Rodriguez, 96, Chase Hooper, 4, Josh Fremd, 11, Carlos Mata, 14, Jared Vandera, 23, and Joseph Holmes, 14 for 164.54. And 3rd place, me, not much better, Christian Rodriguez, 96, Chase Hooper, 4, Josh Fremd, 11, Calvin Cater, 5, Cody Durden, 86, and Joseph Holmes, 14 for 217.98. In 2nd place was Weezy with Waldo Cortez Acosta with 59, Marcus Rogério de Lima with 108, Josh Fremd with 11, Phil Haas with 11, Calvin Cater with 5, and Steve Garcia with 132. Good call there. Weezy scored 329.25. And then 1st place is Monk with Christian Rodriguez, 96, Josh Fremd, 11, Carlos Mata, 14, Arnold Allen, 81, Roman DeLizzi, 109, and Tim Means with 55 for 369.74. Congrats, Monk. You got it done.
Yes, sir. I mean, why did we all think Josh Fremd was gonna do? Like, looking back at that, that's an insane thought to have, that Josh Fremd should be, in all of our lineups. Yeah, the lead say fight came in big for me. Tim Means in a loss came in big, and Arnold Allen, even in a bad ending to that fight, came in big for me. So hoping to keep this one going with like 6 cards left, something like that. Everybody's getting real close. I'm only like 420 down from first place. I just, like I said at the beginning of this season, I don't have to outrun the bear. I just have to outrun the guy who's not outrunning the bear, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Let's go. All right. Yeah, you're getting it's all getting pretty close here towards the end. 6 cards left, 2 pay-per-views left, so it should be fun. We got Monk right now in 4th place with 14,597. Weezy in 3rd place with 14,637. Gordo in 2nd place with 14,897. And then I'm in 1st place with 15,022. We got Monk 425 behind the leader. Weezy 384 behind the leader. Gordo 124 behind the leader. So yeah, it's getting very, very close. Looking forward to seeing what happens in these last 6 weeks. So yeah, guys, what we'll do now is we're going to give our quick picks, and then we'll all kind of run through the chat to see if there's any final questions. But Monk, what are your quick picks for this card?
Quick picks. Do you want us to do our lineups or what?
Oh shit, yeah. You can do that.
Sweet. I will do Miranda Maverick, Mario Batista, Johnny Munoz Jr. That one, I don't know. Weezy made a passionate speech about why I shouldn't probably have him in my lineup.
Watch him get a sub in like 12 seconds, dude.
I'll stick with it for now. Chase Sherman, Nate Maness, and Carlos Candelario.
All right. For me, I'm going to go with Daniel Rodriguez, Mark Madsen, Miranda Maverick, Jake Hadley, Marina Rodriguez, and Darrick Minner. Pretty good chance I do change that, though. Weezy, what line do we got for this week?
Going with a little stars and scrubs this week. We got Miranda Maverick on top, Jake Hadley, White Kong at 9,200. We got Mario Batista, Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week at 9,100. We're throwing Ludwig Shayilan in there at 7,500. Amanda Lemos, 7,400. Darrick Minner, 7,300.
Sounds good. And then Gordo, how about you?
Can I get a pass last week for vacation, by the way? I don't want to hear 164, by the way. It kills me.
Only if you call yourself White Kong.
Yep, I agree.
That'll be my new YouTube.
Whoever loses has to change their name to White Kong.
Yes.
Okay, well, I am going with Miranda. No White Kong for me in my lineup, by the way, but might have to. Miranda Maverick, Mario Dixaw Bautista, Johnny Munoz, Josh Parisian. Even though you could flip a coin on that one, I might change it because they're interchangeable. Minner and Madsen.
All right, sounds good. We'll see what happens in these last 6 weeks and this week as well. So yeah, quick picks time. Monk, what are your quick picks for UFC Vegas 64?
Oh, let's see. I'll go with Pascual, Candelario, Munoz Jr. I'll go Jinh Frey, I guess. Mario Batista. We'll go Miranda Maverick. Shayilan Nuerdanbieke. Grant. This one's tough. I'll go with Grant Dawson. Tagir Ulanbekov. We're going to go Chase Sherman, Daniel Rodriguez, and Marina Rodriguez.
All right. I'll go starting from bottom to top. Give me Pascual. Give me Hadley, Munoz, Viana, Batista, Maverick, Minner, Madsen, Ulanbekov, Parisian, Rodriguez, and Rodriguez. Weezy, how about you? What do you got?
I got Marina Rodriguez in the main event, Neil Magny, Chase Sherman, Ulanbekov, Dawson, Minner, Maverick, Batista, Viana, Shayilan, Hadley, and Pascual. But that's going to be a draw. It's got to be Vidal Pascual. It has to be a draw.
Couldn't agree more. And then Gordo, how about you?
Yeah, there's a couple fights, so you just might as well just flip a coin on them. But we're going to take Pascual, Jake Hadley, Munoz Jr. No one hate on me for this, but I'm picking Jinh Frey to win. Mario Bautista, Miranda Maverick, Darrick Minner, Grant Dawson, Tagir Ulanbekov, Josh Parisian, Daniel Rodriguez, and Marina Rodriguez.
All right, sounds good. Should be an interesting week. I cannot wait to watch a lot of these fights. But yeah, it should be fun. I'm gonna kick it around now. Weezy, let the people know where they can find you, what you have going on throughout the rest of the week.
Ask Weezy tonight, 10:30, Uncle Weezy's channel. That will absolutely be the last content I do for this bullshit card this week. And then we're going to start the work on next week. Get those stats out tomorrow for UFC 281. Let's all stack cash tickets like flapjacks, or even if it's just one ticket. I want one flapjack cashed. I want my 4 fucking units. I want a first round Darrick Minner sub. And I want a Ludwig Shalinian win so I can be proven right that I don't think Munoz is great. So we'll see. But yeah, appreciate you guys hanging out with us.
Weezy, Bryn has a question for you. A bit curious, why is Weezy going Magny over D-Rod? I think it'll be close, but since he's the only one to make the pick.
I think they're very, very well matched, but I'm a little bit worried about D-Rod not being able to make weight at 170 the last time out. This fight has already been rescheduled once because of a staph infection in Rodriguez's elbow, I believe. So I think that there are some things going on in Rodriguez, and I don't think he even won the Li Jingliang fight. I think it's going to be close. It's a very low confidence pick, let me assure you. But I think Magny is just a little bit more well-rounded. He's certainly got the better conditioning. I think it's going to be a greasy fight.
Yeah, it should be a close one. Gordo, let the people know where they can find you, what you have going on throughout the rest of the week.
Yeah, well, content is on Plays and Fades YouTube. I have that. I comment a couple times there, but my DFS video is uploading right now. That is the only video I'm actually doing this week. I didn't want to put out a breakdown video and just say, yeah, I'm passing on every single fight. So instead, I'm diving into 281. I've done a couple fights research for that. Got a couple bets lined up already. And you guys know what happens when you don't do research. You score 164 points, just like I did last week. So I'm doing my research and getting back ahead on it. Took my week off, had a good vacation, but now we're ready to dive into it. So I hope everybody enjoys the fights. At Gambles Gordo on Twitter, Plays and Fade Sports on YouTube. Good luck, everybody.
Let's go. And last but not least, Monk, let the people know where they can find you.
Yes, sir. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Pub Sports Radio. As usual, hit that like and sub on this channel. Yeah, they're doing a ton of stuff, especially with football going on. Do not miss the content from PSR. You can find me on Twitter. You can find my game theory video where I break down all 12 fights from a DFS perspective at 7 p.m. In fact, it'll go live in 5 minutes. If you don't have the patience for that, be sure to check out on the MMA Engine Salary Voodoo, which also went live for UFC Vegas 64. Went live right before we started this show, I think at 5:45 Central Time. So check that out. About 15 minutes. We go over 3 fights, which ones are good for GPPs, maybe one that's not. And yeah, that is going to be about it. Happy hour with Lou Betya on the MMA Engine Friday at 4:30 Central. Hope you guys have a great week, and let's just hibernate until UFC 281 happens. Let's go.
Let's do it. All right, guys. Good luck. Leave a like on your way out. Subscribe to this channel as well. You can follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by the numbers. And yeah, should be an interesting week. And I'm with you, Gordo. I'm gonna start getting into UFC 281. Enough of this card. I've had enough already, and it's only Wednesday, but should be fun nonetheless. We got some fights to watch. So yeah, good luck, guys, and we'll talk to you all very soon. See you.